Hello, I'm Cindy Arenberg-Seltzer, President and CEO of the Children's Services Council of Broward County. Welcome to another episode of Future First, Focus on Broward's Children. Today's episode is especially for the parents and caregivers whose little ones are about to take a big step. Their first year of school, entering kindergarten. Beginning school marks a significant and impactful transition for children and their families, from adjusting to a new routine, to understanding what children are expected to know and do, to building relationships with teachers and schools. Kindergarten is the foundation of your child's educational journey. In Broward County, we want every child to start school not only ready to learn, but excited to grow. But for many families, especially those sending their first child to kindergarten, it's a time filled with questions, a little anxiety, even a few nerves. So we're here to help. Together, we'll unpack what kindergarten readiness really means, how to prepare at home, how to partner with your school, and what to expect in those first few weeks and beyond. Joining me today are three guests who bring invaluable insight from every angle of this journey. Linnea Hall, principal at Parkside Elementary School, Tabitha Bush, parent of an incoming kindergartner, and Ken King, former principal and teacher with Broward Schools, and now Director of Communications at CSC. Welcome to all of you.
Thank you, Cindy.
I'm so excited. I just recently participated in an event full of 4-year-olds getting ready to enter kindergarten, and looking at their excited faces got me so jazzed to explore this conversation. Tabby, you may not be quite as excited, maybe have a few more nerves as you're getting ready to send your firstborn off to kindergarten. So I want to start with you, because you are surrounded by people who can answer your questions.
Thank you.
So tell us about this time in your household.
So I am excited, but I'm also nervous at the same time. My firstborn, he comes with so many different creative things. And so my fear is him taking those creative things to kindergarten and not knowing how to transition into being focused versus playing all day or even taking naps during the day, but just being able to be focused and sitting in a kindergarten space.
That is a great question. How much focus really is necessary in kindergarten?
Well, with that being said, you have lots of reasons to feel that way. I mean, it definitely is a huge transition back to even thinking back when we were in school, it looked a little bit different than it does today. But there's a good balance. You find the right school, you find the right teacher, you find the right space for your child. A good teacher is going to balance those times to sit, times not to sit. Really, if you look at the research says for every year that a child is, it's really 1 minute. So if you're looking at sitting like 5 to 10 minutes is really enough sitting time for a child, and then they have to move and transition to something else. So I think it's finding the balance between those different things that are important to your child, and getting to know your child's teacher. Your child's teacher needs to know your child. And one of the coolest things I think that we've done in the past at a few of the schools is we always ask parents to write a letter about their child in the very beginning of the school year. And it gives us a little bit of information about your child. Your child may not be the same as Johnny, who's Susie's over next to you. So we like to know those differences. And like I said, you find the right teacher and the right environment, you're gonna balance those sitting times versus, having to get up and move kind of things.
So Linnea, you bring up an interesting point that I'm not sure parents necessarily think about, and that is choosing a school or choosing a teacher. I think for many of us, we grew up, this is your boundary, this is the school that you have to go to, and this is the teacher you've been assigned, and parent, you have nothing to say about that. But within Broward County Public Schools and beyond, there's now a lot more opportunity to pick a school that may not be right there, although there are big advantages to that as well. But how can parents go about thinking about school and teacher to pick the right one for their child?
Yeah, that's a great question. And you're right, things have changed over the last several years. I mean, even since I've been in administration, past 13 years as a principal, we have choice now, and which is really important. And, I think that when you're looking at a school, I know people always say, I buy in a certain area because I'm looking at a certain type of school, but don't judge a book by its cover. I think you need to actually call the school. I would say every Broward County school would offer a tour for you. Go to that school. Meet the front office staff. Just because your neighbors say it's great and it has an A rating and all these different kinds of things doesn't always make it a perfect school for your child. Look at the offerings that they have, whether it's specials, extracurricular activities. But for me, I tell parents when they call my school and say, hey, you're looking to reassign to another school. And I'm like, why? What's the reason that you're looking to do that? They said, well, my friend goes down the street to so-and-so's school. Well, just come in, let us tour, see if you like our school, and then have conversations. The personal connection is huge for me. And I think that makes parents feel warm and welcome, because as a new mom coming in, the only thing that you really care about is that your child is safe each and every day, from 8 a.m. in the morning till 2 o'clock in the afternoon when we could bring them back. Yes, you want them to learn, but that's the most important thing. So I think just having that personal connection. And the way you asked me, the way to go about it is Broward Schools does offer a school of choice. And if you're in a bounded area, that means you live in certain boundaries where you're expected to go to school, you can go in and look for a reassignment to another school that you may feel is a better fit for your child. And it goes through a process, but I think today all of our schools have open reassignment seats right now. So check it out, see what works for you.
Ken, you were in administration for a while. I mean, you were a fantastic kindergarten teacher and principal, and I know you and Ania have a history together, but you were also in administration at Broward Schools. Would you say that all principals would be as open and welcoming to a parent who calls?
I think yes. I mean, parents are the cornerstone of what schools do, and having that open door policy to allow parents in is important to everyone. And I think for me, being a former administrator, my incoming kindergarten parents were special to me because they were wide-eyed and knew very little. So trying to get them to become a part of the school family was most important.
Right.
And I think we've mentioned that it's a two-way street. The school wants to know about your child and you need to know about the teacher and the school. So if anything you want to do is open up that communication, because principals are going to want to look at that. They want to see that. They want to know what you want to know. So that's definitely my advice, is open up that communication so everybody understands everyone.
I love that. I think most parents would probably not think that they had the ability to do that. And if they work hours that aren't conducive for going in, are there other ways by email or non-traditional hours that they can meet with folks?
Every school in Broward, even traditional public schools and charter schools, have their own website. So the technology is really, really at top level. So you can go, and as you're searching, everybody has an email address. And you kind of want to create that email introducing yourself to the school, what are your concerns, your questions, and getting those answers back. And this is the kind of time, and you want to do that before school starts, so they'll have that information.
Yeah, and I was going to ask that because I know the summer is coming, and my concern too is helping my child transition from the summer into entering into kindergarten. And so that's really good information to know, that I can reach out to them via email to ask those early on questions, or even provide some additional information of what I see my son doing from the summer and going into kindergarten. So thank you for that.
And I think being a parent, one of the things that in my history, parents always assume that their children are going to have a hard time adjusting from home to school.
It's usually the opposite.
And I'll give you a secret. The kids easily adjust. It's the parents.
Okay.
And schools are, and kindergarten teachers and schools are structured in such a way that kids learn that routine very quickly.
Okay.
It's really about everyone being on board about learning those routines.
Thank you.
And you did say that. The structure is so important. So what I would say preparing my kid, I mean, there's a lot of things. I could give you a whole list of things.
Please do.
And I would share a few. But one of the things that I think happens to be the most consistent as you get ready, start a month out, like getting your child up at a certain time, having their breakfast ready, where's their backpack going to be? Just little things like that make transitions for kids so much easier. The times that kids usually come in scattered and crying and upset has to do with the parent issues at home. And it may just be that you worked late and you forgot to do this and you're running behind, and our stress comes out on the children. So if you can put those procedures in place, it makes it so much easier. One of the things I always do at my kindergarten roundup each year is, parents always say, what can I do to prepare my kid for kindergarten? Well, you want me to say the ABCs they should know, they should be reading. None of that's important. I mean, it is important, but none of it's important. Independence for your child. Tying their shoes, pulling up their pants by themselves. They have to go to the bathroom. In the cafeteria, they have to know how to open these water bottles on their own. So little things like that, teaching them how to open if they pack a lunch. Don't pack these fancy containers that the kids can't get into. You want them to start taking on that responsibility, because remember, we're in a cafeteria with like 100 kindergartners all at one time. So you're looking at 5-year-olds who all need help. So those little things really make a difference. I mean, even like bathroom, like buttons and things like that. If you're not used to unbuttoning your pants, kids have accidents because they don't know how to unbutton their pants to get to the bathroom. So little things like that make a big difference. And my most important thing is read to your child every night. Okay. Read. The more you read with and, back and forth with them, it helps the literacy language develop, and everything else is going to flow in place.
Thank you.
So that back and forth that you talked about, some of the literature that I've read over the years is about the back and forth, whether they're actually, if they can't read, that's fine, but asking questions, generating a dialogue, not a monologue with the child, is important. Ken, we're doing a lot around that.
Yeah, I think when you look at literacy and what we need to do with our little ones around reading, it's really about building vocabulary. And what I would tell parents, young people, what you want to do is have conversation. You want to build vocabulary with kids, and it doesn't necessarily mean that you need to always read to them. One of the experiences I would tell my incoming parents, take them to the supermarket with you. And sometimes we forget that that's full of vocabulary. You want to talk about this vegetable, you want to talk about this meat cut, you want to talk about why we're buying this, because that conversation includes lots of vocabulary, and that's what you want to build for children.
Thank you.
What else is on your mind, Tabby?
Testing.
Testing.
Yes.
Testing. So as my little one get ready to transition to kindergarten, I know that they're going to do like pre-testing. And so my question is that testing throughout the school year? Would he be tested throughout the school year to see where his academic knowledge is, or is it just gonna be at the entry of kindergarten?
So with testing, that comes with a whole nother set of directions we could go off into talking. But as far as the testing piece, what the state requires, and even whether you're a charter school or you're a public school, we have what's called the FAST PM testing. And it's a progress monitoring that occurs 3 times a year. So yes, the first couple weeks of school, your child's going to be assessed on a computer. Usually, I'm not sure what every other school does, but a lot of my colleagues, we test kindergartners in 1 to 4 because they are on a computer. It's their first time doing it. They do what's called STAR literacy, which is their early literacy that they will do in kindergarten, and they also have a math component. So they do that usually, I would say, beginning of September. Then you get to the fall, about December-ish, maybe January, they do what's called PM2, and we're looking at their progress monitoring from PM1 to PM2, looking at their growth. And then their final PM is at the very end of the year, which we're in the midst of across the district, and that really is what we consider, one of the considerations is for promotion criteria. And again, we're looking at that progress across the board. And for kindergarten, I mean, it's not an ideal type of assessment to be on the computer in my mind, but it is the way that technology is going these days. And really the kids, I mean, you see it everywhere. They are better on the computers than we as adults are sometimes. Now with that, there's other assessing that goes on throughout the year, depending on the school that you're at. Again, in Broward County, we use a couple different programs, you know, whether it's our reading program that we use, they have assessments on that, but they look a little bit different again. Sometimes they're paper-based, sometimes they're observational types of assessments. So you'll be getting constant feedback as far as your child's progress, and that'll be with your conferences. Like, you know, and I will tell you, if parents, if your teachers aren't reaching out to you, conferences, you absolutely should have 2 conferences every single year. Ask those questions, you know. I mean, you may not know, and that's okay, but we're here to help you.
And the progress monitoring tool now, if I'm not mistaken, is now consistent between the pre-K program and kindergarten, right? They've been different over the years, but I think last year or maybe the year before, they now are using the same tool. Is that correct?
So our pre-K in our school system do not take the same type of assessment that they do as far as like we use a platform called Renaissance, and that's our STAR literacy program, and that's in kindergarten, 1st and 2nd, and then when you get into 3rd, 4th, and it's a different platform. But our pre-K does have an assessment, but it is the teacher one-on-one, and it's a paper-based assessment. So testing the same components under the same standards, because we are, our standards are aligned across pre-K all the way up to 12th grade.
Which is a recent development.
Yes, it is. It's
Yes.
finally, it's more of a spiral from up, like, you know, so you're building on those components as we go along, which makes sense. So, and then in math, you spiral through a lot of those different standards.
And we talk a lot about reading proficiency, but that math proficiency is also an important component. They feed off of each other. So as you're going through the grocery store, it's 2 heads of lettuce, and, you know, let's count how many apples we need, or whatever it happens to be, so that you're helping to build those numeracy skills as well.
I think one of the other things you think about from a parent's perspective with assessment is, and Linnea mentioned it, it's progress. Because there's a starting point and an end point. So you are looking at how your child is progressing, not compared to someone else, but how they're progressing in their learning. And that's kind of a different perspective from parents. It's their first kind of look at what testing looks like. So you want to see how your child is compared to someone else. But really at that level, you really want to look at how your child is progressing through those standards at that grade level.
That's a great point, because as a parent, I'm not always, but I'm looking at the development of another child, and I'm saying, I'm wondering if my child is on target for development. So thank you for that. That's a really good point, and not to compare, because I don't want to push my kindergartner to thinking that he's behind or even moving too fast. So that's a really good point.
And we always say, too, that everybody has their own developmental stages of growth, and that's the case. You know, just because you may have a kindergartner coming in who is an August 31st birthday, cut off September 1st. So your child's starting out 4 years old, whereas a kid who has a September 2nd birthday is 5 or turning 6 already when they're so that's a huge difference in age. So you have to think about that as well. So I know it's hard, but I mean, Ken said it. You have to look at their own individual progress from the beginning to the end. And we look at it, because like you said, we come in with kids at all different growths. If they make a year's worth of growth, then they're doing their job. That we're doing our job and they're doing their job learning. So that's really something to keep in the back of your mind, because all kids aren't the same.
Right. Thank you.
And I'm wondering, for families out there who may not have taken advantage of the voluntary pre-K program, I guess right now, if they're listening to this and their child is 3, they should sign up for
Yes.
the VPK
Yes.
voucher. The only requirement is your child is 4.
Yes.
if they have not taken advantage of it during the school year, there is a summer VPK program that is more intense, right? Do you
Yes,
wanna
it gets
speak to
kids,
that?
it gets kids prepared for those readiness skills
Right.
in the weeks before school starts. So those parents who miss that opportunity for the entire year have a very truncated opportunity for kids to get ready. And it's really back to what we kind of talked about, those readiness skills that they will need for the start of school in the beginning. It's not going to teach a child how to read, but it'll teach them the structure of school, how to hold pencils and crayons and get ready for that structure. So one of the things that you'll see is that they're ready to get ready to learn.
Yeah, I'm very appreciative of the VPK program because my 4-year-old is in the VPK program, and I have seen the growth from before because now he's able to write his name, he's able to hold the pencil and the crayon. His vocabulary is extending as well, so I'm very grateful for the VPK program. So for any parents who children are not in the VPK program, I encourage you that it is one of the greatest programs to put your toddler in.
It's always scary, having your little one go off. I think, again, more scary for us. I remember taking my daughter to the door of the room and thinking, oh my God, she's not, what? And she's like, see ya. Bye. I was like, wait, what? What just happened? And, in terms of adapting to the child, I found that fascinating. In my daughter's kindergarten, they would have a time to write a sentence and draw a picture. That was the first thing they did, to talk about what happened the day before, the night before, the weekend or whatever. And then when they finished, they got to play on the mat on the floor. And so most of the kids would scribble something and go play. And I had my first parent-teacher conference, and the teacher was like, Leah will just sit there, and she is drawing every detail of whatever happened. I'd be like, Leah, do you want to play? And she's like, no, I'm busy. And that hasn't changed. She's 18 now, and still when she's drawing, she can sit there forever.
Wow.
So hopefully have that expectation of your teacher that they will meet your child where they are.
Thank you.
That's their job. And one of the things you talk about beginning kindergarten, and we talk about that first day of school, and I kind of look at it as a big celebration for everyone. It's a celebration for the school because we've opened our doors back in and students are coming back in. It's a celebration for the students. For some of them, it's their first time into the big school. And it's a celebration for parents because it's a milestone. And I always told parents that that's a milestone you want to capture. Right. Don't get lost in the details about do they know enough, what class they're in. It's that milestone of the first day of school because you only get to get that once. So just make sure you take all of that in and capture it.
I will.
What else is, any other fears or excitement?
No, I'm ready.
Okay.
I'm
great.
ready. I've been having a lot of conversations with other parents, his current school. So I think now I'm ready. It's just a matter of me letting go.
Oh, that'll never happen. That'll never happen.
Yeah.
We have just a couple of minutes left, so I want to get last thoughts from each of you. What do you want parents to know?
I think parents need to know that trust us. We've been doing this a long time, and as much as we do understand your fears and anxiety, we're here for your kids. That's the reason we're in this business. I wouldn't be sitting in this chair still doing what I'm doing, and I read to my kid. I read to every kindergarten class every year a book, and they are my lunchtime. I ask for kindergarten. They say, why do you want kindergarten? Because I love getting to know my kindergartners. So trust us. I promise that that we're going to do what's right for your kid, and we're here to support you. That's what our journey is. Not just you, it's us together, and it's a partnership. And that's the only way that your child's going to succeed is that we have that partnership.
Ken, your final thoughts as an educator and what CSC is doing to help?
I think you look at two aspects, communication and relationships. And once you build a relationship with your school and you begin to communicate, all of that works in tandem. And I think from the CSC perspective, we've been leading advocates in this space of early childhood. And I think if you continue to look for resources that you will need across your education journey, come back to CSC and kind of look at what you're looking for. We might have it for you.
Okay.
And stay tuned throughout this. I hope folks have been seeing pictures of the Museum of Discovery and Science, their day in K. CSC and our partners at the school system and the Early Learning Coalition, we're all here for you to make this transition a successful one. Thank you, Linnea Hall, Tabitha Bush, and Ken King for exploring all things kindergarten. I've been your host, Cindy Ehrenberg-Seltzer. For this or any other episode of Future First, Focus on Broward's Children, go to our website, cscbroward.org, where you can access our YouTube channel, follow us on social media, and remember to join us next time on Future First, Focus on Broward's Children.
Don't forget about being a kid. Don't forget about paying it forward. Don't forget about love and purpose. Service is the mission, baby. Listen with love, listen with love, listen with love. Talk to your kids, ask them what's up. And listen up with love. Listen with love, listen with love, listen with love. Kick it with your kids, remember you were one. And listen up with love.